Hey everyone, my name's Gunther, and welcome back to Igua Zoo. In today's episode, we are adding the giant otter to our zoo, and really, I think it's fitting. The giant otter is the largest member of the otter family, or the weasel family, and I think we've made the largest habitat for these otters. So it's very fitting that we kind of get to sit together and go over this amazing habitat that we put together. And I say we because I definitely got a lot of help from the community in putting this, a lot of positive reinforcement, a lot of help. And if I don't call you out for your help, I do apologize, but I just want to say thank you so much for everybody participating and helping to create this awesome looking habitat. Now, for those who maybe caught the live stream, you're going to notice a few things. Specifically, what we built on the live stream is not what we're actually going to go with. And I think part of that is because I bit off a little bit more than I could chew. I think originally I wanted to have this really cool habitat that was going to have this underwater building, and we could kind of work it in almost like a wharf that would be on top of the water. And in doing so, it didn't work out. To be honest, I don't even think that really fit with the theme of Igua Zoo, which is okay. It's all about learning and trying new things, and we definitely tried something. I love the idea, maybe just didn't fit with this particular zoo. That being said, if you want to see what would have happened with that particular build, let me know in the comments, because I still have it in a save file somewhere and we can put it up and see what we can maybe do. I would love to hear what you guys thought of the original one versus this one. So if you did catch the stream, let me know what you felt looked or ended up turning out better for our giant otters. Now you can see a lot happening, and you're going to notice it's a speed build. And for those who maybe didn't read or didn't see the community update last week, I've had a kind of a few days to really think about what I wanted to do with Planet Zoo. And I think originally I got really distracted by creating these awesome habitats, or what I like to think were awesome habitats, and trying to create videos that would really entice people. But I realized that I just want to have fun playing Planet Zoo. And I hope you do as well. So hopefully you're here to experience having fun, because you're going to see all my mistakes. This is a perfect one. Placed down some foliage, didn't like it. But I really hope that you stick around and you learn from this, because I would be over the moon if I helped somebody else to build something amazing. And that's really what I'm here to do. I'm here to have fun, here to play Planet Zoo. And I'm here to kind of help create a community where other people, especially new players to Planet Zoo, can come and have fun and learn and try new things. So if you are new to Planet Zoo, welcome. The game's been around for a while, but you've come at the perfect time, because a lot of the DLC's out, so you're gonna have a lot of tools and things like that to play with. And if you're old hand at Planet Zoo, let me know how I could have improved, because even for myself, I've only been playing for like a year. I've had the game since launch, but I haven't really had a lot of gameplay time with it. So if you feel that I could have done something differently, let me know, because that's how we always improve. So I find it interesting when I look back at a build for Planet Zoo and I watch myself build it, I tend to find that I follow a particular method. And let me know if you have your own method when it comes to playing Planet Zoo. For me, it's working on the viewing areas and then working on the habitat itself. And this is a prime example. I really had the idea of creating two separate unique viewing stations for our giant otter habitat. We're going to have a below water, which you already saw us kind of put together. And then I'm going to have this above ground at the top of like a hill into the habitats. We're going to have above ground and below water. That was the entire idea. And I think I did pretty good. But that being said, we had this rather open plaza that we had to work into. Part of the reason why is because I didn't want to put a lot of foliage here. I really wanted this to be like curated for the habitat itself. So that meant creating a plaza and overlaying it on the path. This actually works to hide the pathing and any terraforming deformations. It's going to come in handy later. But on top of that, it gives it a more man-made feel. So it's almost like this is an area where our guests can come and hang out, maybe take a break from the sun, because you're going to see some really cool things happen in this area. It's also going to act as our central education area. So we're going to have really kind of meet the keeper feeding schedules kind of set up over there, as well as all of our educational treatment items. Speaking of educational items, I've actually, for the first time in a long time, created my own educational signs for this build. And that really got me excited to create even more custom education signs. And when I say custom, I mean like creating a media file and then putting it on the screen. I thought it was fantastic. I really loved it. I really dig the idea. So expect to see more of that as well. Again, this is a new feeling for the channel. It's all about having fun and just enjoying Planet Zoo. And enjoying Planet Zoo, if you know me by now, is all about building some sunshades, and this is no different. We are building our biggest and best sunshade yet. In fact, we actually have 2 sunshades that we built for this episode, which I think is actually a first. And I also realized in the last episode, I said that I'd probably built our largest or biggest sunshade, and I lied. This is now my biggest one. So I almost feel like it's every episode I have to one-up the sunshade from the previous episode. Starting to think I might have a problem with sunshades. For this particular sunshade, it was really all about getting us out of my comfort zone and building something bigger and better than ever before. I think I've said that a lot. Is always about enjoying and trying new things, so please challenge yourself, try new things. For me, it was this sunshade, and then later you're going to see some other things that I'm going to challenge myself with. But the idea behind it actually came from a architecture paper that I saw on Pinterest. Like, it was a photo, and then it led to a link to an entire website all about sunshades, and I felt like I was maybe in heaven at that point because it was just tons of sunshades. But I really liked this particular sunshade. Now, I realized as I watched myself build this, I probably could have utilized the cladding pieces to make my life a lot easier. But I think that hindsight is 20/20. You learn from your mistakes, and this is definitely one of my mistakes as well. But I think it really turned out pretty cool. It's really large, and I think it looks really large right now because it's a very empty space. So don't be alarmed. We are gonna make it look a little bit better. But the entire idea is it's gonna reach up and over and go into the habitat. And really what I mean by that is that we're going to have the sunshade supported on both ends, and we're gonna use these metal beams to support it on the front. So we have our concrete and wood on the back, these metal, very modern style architecture supporting the front. And I'm actually challenging myself to maybe get a little bit more realistic when it comes to the builds. Kind of saw that with utilizing the bracket pieces to create these like bolts that were holding the wood together. But I've also taken it a step further and utilized some more pieces to add to the idea that we actually have a metal beam that's securing the entire build together. And you can kind of see it all coming together, just utilizing some rather normal pieces. Now, for the front as well, we could have gone with a 90-degree angle. For some reason, I liked 90-degree angles, but for this particular one, I actually went with a slightly offset, bent inwards. And the idea behind it was it really just kind of looks really cool. I think really, do you need another reason to do something other than it looks really cool? But it just kind of fit really well with it sinking into the water itself. Now, huge shout out to the Discord community as well for giving me an idea of how we can kind of cover up the sunshade. So utilizing the Oceania nets and then duplicating it a few times to give it a little bit of a tighter spread, and then adding it all the way across. Gave it a really cool looking weave to the top of the sunshade. So it's very subtle. It allows the sun through, but it also breaks it up. And we're going to get a lot of that natural shade for our guests. Now, remember when I said I always tend to build in a particular process? I have my way, and it works really well for me, which is build the exterior and then work on the interior. This is no different. It's time for us to start working on the interior. Now, originally, I wanted to have this very lush and river feeling because, as you know, giant otters, they pretty much live on freshwater rivers and slow-moving areas where they catch a lot of fish and things like that. It makes total sense for us to create a habitat that's going to emulate that. But when you look at zoos, you tend to realize that they're not full of foliage. And I think this is something I struggle with because I don't like the texture of the ground. Even the long grass looks terrible when you look at it. So I always feel the need to cover everything with foliage. So I'm trying to break that internal monologue, which is use more foliage, more is better. I'm trying to spread it out a little bit. And I think I'm improving. Maybe I have to go into some type of support group on how to use foliage correctly, but I'm getting better, and I think I'm already there, or I'm mostly there rather. Now, that being said, our habitat does need a shelter. I actually totally forgot about building a shelter for this habitat. For some reason, I thought giant otters would have utilized the underground dens. And I think maybe it's because I built for the platypus and Cedar Brook Park Zoo, and they had that type of den, and I was like, oh, we can just do that. And then when I found out that they didn't do it, because giant otters are the largest otters, so of course they wouldn't sleep in something like that, we had to create this den. And I didn't want to go man-made. I don't like it when I see man-made dens in this particular zoo. It just doesn't really fit the theme of Igua Zoo. So I went with this rock-covered one, and in order to kind of blend it in and hide it, I utilized our mossy tree piece and kind of just had it overarch. To prop it up on the other side, I also used a stump, and that kind of gave it an interesting look, and I kind of like how it works out. Now, for the first time in a long time when it comes to building foliage in Igua Zoo, and I think this is feedback that I got from the Discord community, I changed up my foliage. Normally, when I utilize foliage, I tend to stick with the area that animal's from. I really want a lot of natural foliage that they would normally see in their habitats, but I used buffalo grass for this habitat. And I want to say sorry because I did that. Maybe it's the internal Canadian in me, which is like, sorry I use foliage that's not meant for this particular animal, but buffalo grass is like iconic. Remember, I said I'm not a huge fan of the long grass texture. I just don't like the way it looks. So utilizing buffalo grass kind of gives you that more smoother look, which I think in my eyes makes the habitat look a little bit better. Now that being said, you're going to see me come back through and layer on a bunch of other stuff and foliage and whatnot into the habitat itself. But I think this is going to be the time where I can kind of say, like, you know what, buffalo grass, we're going to see it everywhere. It's an analog for another type of grass that you would normally see. So maybe that's going to be my trick. I'm just going to say, like, buffalo grass is regular grass that we want to see there. Now, in my effort to say thank you to the community for helping me to create this, I'm just going to add this right here. I want to give a shout out to Alfred Super Sauce, Wowie, Nini and Sparkle, and Lynn for giving me some amazing feedback and more just positive words when it comes to building my habitat. From the net for our habitat to the foliage and being okay going outside of my comfort zone, I really couldn't have done it without any of you and your kind words. And that's really what I'm all about. My community that we've created. So you've heard me talk about it. I have a Discord community, and anybody is welcome to join, to come and hang out, talk all things Planet Zoo, share your builds, provide feedback. It's a positive reinforcement area. So we're really all about helping to improve and learn. And for me, I'm learning so much from everybody there. We have some amazing content creators. We have some amazing builders there. I would love to see you guys join and come in and hang out. Now, also, huge shout out to Sparrow, more so because in her last video, she had this amazing shale rock wall that she created, and kind of utilizing this idea here. Maybe not a shale rock wall, but really just kind of creating this like shelfy rock wall that's going to help work as a traversable area for our staff and our otters from the top of the habitat in the back to the front of the habitat, which is significantly lower in the ground. So we're slowly bringing things together, and I just really wanted to take a few seconds to say thank you to everybody for all of your help. And I really am excited for the first time in a long time to play even more Planet Zoo, to try even more habitats and more zoos. I have these amazing ideas. They're all floating around in my head right now, and I think I can, you can tell rather, how excited I am to play more Planet Zoo, and this has probably been the most excited I've been in a long time when it comes to playing this game. Don't get me wrong, love Planet Zoo. We're definitely not leaving Planet Zoo. I think I maybe just needed some time to reflect back on our channel and how it's growing. Now, speaking of growing our channel, if you haven't done so, think about hitting that subscribe button. Your subscription definitely helps the channel to grow and lets me know I'm doing the right things. And it also lets me know if I'm not doing the right things. So keep that in mind. You can also leave a comment, share how I could have improved, or how I could have maybe done better, or what is actually working really well for this particular habitat. Maybe there's something that you've taken away from this particular build that will help you to build bigger and better in your own habitats. And I would love to hear that in the comments below. And otherwise, if you don't want to do any of that, think about hitting that like button, because even that small action definitely helps out the channel. And I can't stress how much I appreciate everybody who has helped out and who has helped the channel to grow and to get where we are right now. Our community is amazing, so just keep that in mind. come check out our Discord. Maybe think about hitting the subscribe button, maybe leave a comment, maybe leave a like button. But again, no stress. You're not obligated to, and I don't want you to think that you're forced to do so either. And that's going to be the last I'm going to talk about that this episode. You'll hear it a few times, but our build is finally coming to a close. In fact, with just a few more rock work, we're pretty much done. Now, I did say pretty much, more so because didn't really like the way that our den was looking. It's really draws the eye away from what I want people to look at in this habitat, which is really that front area, the underwater area, and then like the little grass strip in front of that above area viewing station. So in an effort to hide the den, I utilized some trees and some branches and kind of just covered it all up. And I think I actually did a pretty good job. So you wouldn't even know it was there. Kind of gave me the idea of like a dam, maybe. I don't know. Lots of things to work on. So with one last look at some amazing sightlines, it was time for me to work on the final piece of this habitat. And you kind of heard me talk about it. It's a sunshade. I realize we've already done a sunshade for this episode, but this one is going to be an even newer type of sunshade, something that's going to really challenge me, which is going to be one of those like traditional looking three-pointed sunshades that you usually see and that are like all cloth that are hanging in the air. Don't really like the sunshades that come in the game, so this is how we're going to build it. And I really wanted to show this and keep this in the video because I really want you to see how you could build one yourself. That being said, it's pretty piece heavy and you can kind of see it coming together. It took me a really long time to build this, surprisingly large amount of time, but it's really just these 2D letters placed absolutely everywhere. What I will tell you is maybe in the future, you could actually pre-build like a box and you can work with the box and stuff like that. But this is actually how a lot of people build signs within Planet Zoo as well. It's a pretty cool technique and you can see it actually works really well. And depending on how skilled you're with it, you can make some pretty cool looking sunshades amongst many other things that you can do with these particular pieces in the game. But you can kind of see it all come together, and I kind of sped forward a little bit because it was a pain in the butt to get these to hang correctly in our plaza area. But I gotta say, probably my favorite build. In fact, I just realized that the game actually has these sunshade holders. Huge game changer for me. But that's about it. We are at the end of our episode. Hopefully you like this longer format. This is probably what we're gonna have for the foreseeable future. You can tell I'm having a lot more fun with this, which at the end of the day, it's all about having fun, trying new things, learning new skills, and this is no different. So this is me just keeping true to what I originally wanted to do with Planet Zoo and the Gunther's Gaming channel. So that being said, thank you so much for watching. Your end of the episode is always going to include some really cool little visuals, or rather cinematics of the overall build. And I just want to say again, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support and just hanging around with me and putting up with my lack of an episode last week. I really do appreciate that. As always, thank you so much, and ciao for now, everybody.